So with episode 11 of Classroom of the Elite, I could easily see a mixed response with this episode, because I could see some people saying, oh, it was so obvious that Ibuki was the traitor, the mole within this group, and then I could see the other half saying that they expected it, but it was enjoyable. But for me, as someone who is an anime original, never read the source material for Classroom of the Elite, I think this is a little more complex than I think many anime originals are giving it credit for. Now granted, I don't know the source material, I could completely be wrong here, and it could just be that Aino was being Aino, he predicted this and he's going to counter it, and Ibuki was just acting on her team's behalf. But I believe that our main character has been behind everything, from the panty stealing, to the arson, to literally setting up Ibuki on stealing the keycard from within his group. And the reason I think this is because we know at least that he set the fire. I mean, Horikita gets a flash of like, if it wasn't her, then who set the fire? And then she thinks of our main character, Aino, and then she gets pretty much knocked out because she's sick and things like that. But I think he set up everything, because if we remember, before this trip, his teacher basically threatened him, saying that he has to essentially win. He needs to try to get to Class A, or she won't protect him from the people that are coming after him. As get more and more information as the series is going on from the facility that he was at. Obviously, they want him back. It seems like he was the last survivor of his class. Seems like everyone got kind of weaned out, and he was the last one. And then you see within this flashback that he essentially has prison bars. So it seems like he escaped from that facility, and that's clear why he doesn't want to go back. So he has to ascend to Class A. He needs to try his best. So the best way for him is, we know he outsmarts and outplays everyone in this, but at the same time, he wants to lay low. He doesn't want anyone to know who he truly is, but he has to make his class win. And the best way, in my opinion, for him to do that is to essentially throw his class into chaos and manipulate the pieces, manipulate the chess pieces, which is the students, into what he needs to do. Steal the panties, set it all up so there would now be this distrust between the boys and the girls. Also, with the arson, it'll be a distraction so Horikita would leave on her own. When Horikita gets the mud shoved on her, he asked her to show the keycard. He wouldn't do that out in the open. If he truly wanted to make sure this was safe, he would have went it to the floor or something like that, but he wanted to, so it could be this kind of like White Knight scenario where Ibuki would be able to steal the keycard while everything was happening there. It seemed like everything is going to his plan. And like I said, I could be wrong. This might not be his entire plan. Only the arson might have been his plan. But it definitely seems like the person that she was giving the keycard to before the credits rolled for this episode is more than likely Aino. And if not, it could just be that he is predicting all this and he's going to counter all this, and that's that. But I feel like everything that's been happening, all of this chaos, is actually because of him. And this episode really just kind of makes me think this, because I don't see any other way that Aino would do some of the things that he did within this episode. I trust Ibuki. He wouldn't trust her. There's no way. Like, he's a very distrusting person. He knows what to expect. The whole show me the keycard and then the mud thing and the perfect opportunity for her to lose the keycard. Everything seems just going to his plan, but of course, he's not going to be someone who would just destroy his class for the sake of it, but at the same time, maybe he wants to just say, screw you guys, I'm going to ascend by myself. But it feels like everything is going into place so he can get what he wants, and maybe infiltrate other classes, learn their secrets so he can ascend his class, or just ascend himself. It's hard to say exactly, but it feels like everything is going according to plan, according to our main character's plan. I don't think this was just Ibuki just sealing the card for her class. I mean, at the same time, her class is just lazing around, blowing through their points, but if they could put a person in each of the groups and learn their leader, they could then have points at the end. There's a way to use that 0-point strategy, not just blowing through your points and not failing. But I do think this is all part of our main character's plan. He's been laying out the pieces from the panty theft to the arson to the keycard theft. Everything just feels like it's going to his plan, and I could be totally wrong. If that next week comes around and it wasn't everything his plan, then that's that. It's less interesting, it's less intriguing, but it doesn't ruin the show for me. But I do feel like if we've seen enough of this character by now, we know he's not someone who would just trust a random person that came into their camp. We know that he's not just going to ask Horikita to pull out the card if he's not trying to wean someone into taking the card. Everything feels like this is happening for a reason. And I wouldn't be surprised if possibly he's going to use that card, Horikita's card, and basically get caught by the other classes, so the other classes thinks that he's the leader, things like that. There's so many ways that they could go with this, but I've been enjoying this show for the most part every single week. There's only been one episode I didn't like, because I have seen people say that it's got less interesting for them. I've been enjoying it for the most part the same amount. This has been a fun show and is definitely my favorite new show of the season. Rage of Bahamut Virgin Soul is my favorite show overall for including carryovers, but for new content, Classroom Elite has definitely been my favorite, and I'm very excited to see how next week's final episode for season 1 is going to end, and hopefully we'll get another season. But overall, I thought this was an interesting episode, how everything's going. showing just the chaos going around, and it just feels like this is all Ino's plan, but only next week will tell us if it is his plan or if this was just classes trying to infiltrate Class D and throw him into chaos. But it definitely feels like Ino is putting the chaos there for a reason, and we'll see the full reason next week is my guess. But overall, this was a good episode. There was a bit more production issues I've noticed in just some of the more still shots. You saw a lot more kind of wider shots and the character models were a little iffy, but for the most part, I thought the quality to this episode was fairly good. Was a mind-blowing? No, but there was a few dips here or there that was a little noticeable, but luckily it wasn't the entire episode, so I can't really complain there. This has just been a good episode and series overall, and I can't wait to see how this is going to end next week. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think my theory, or do you think this is just all just Ibiki and her class, and Ino is just going to counter it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and before I leave, smack that like button, share your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.